The Territory is being reminded that this year marks 70 years since legislative government was restored, as it prepares to observe the 25th anniversary of the passing of one of its greatest visionary leaders, the late Honorable Hamilton Lavity Stoutt. The late H. Lavity Stoutt was born on March 7, 1929. He served as Chief Minister of the Virgin Islands for over 16 years and is credited with establishing the cruise ship pier, creating the Social Security scheme, overseeing the construction of the Central Administration Complex, and spearheading the development of the local community college, which is named in his honor. The Department of Information and Public Relations was able to speak with chairperson of the H. Lavity Stoutt Commemorative Committee, Mrs. Eileen Parsons, and member Ms. Najan Christopher, to speak more about the preparations for this year's 25th milestone celebration.
The theme this year is The Journey Continues, the BVI Story. We did that after, and I must say it's a good thing that we had an infusion of young people, young minds that came with some very good ideas. And we came up with that the journey continues, the BVI Story. This year we hope we are going to go back in time with the program. We are doing some Sankeys, which we think they are quite lively, inspiring. The people will be singing them. The artists that we have asked, they too will be singing them. And this is really based on Mr. Stout's life. The original thought was his old-time religion, but then the young people said, no, let us do this, and it was a wonderful idea. The journey continues. So that is what we'll be. And we will be having the wreath laying ceremony first, early in the morning, and then we go to the auditorium at the college to have the ceremony, which will begin at 10:30. What is taking place is that we have decided this year that we will go down to Capons Bay, have the wreath laying ceremony starting at 9, which was the premier this year will lay 2 wreaths. He has on 2 hats. He's the premier and he's District 1 rep. So he laid 2 wreaths, and the leader of the opposition will lay the other one, a very short ceremony. I'm saying maybe because we haven't worked that out yet, a prayer, a hymn, the wreath laying, a prayer, or maybe a hymn, a prayer, and then we all move on to Paraquita Bay. Hopefully it will be short, no more than an hour, so we can get from Capons Bay, Colonel Bottom, from Colonel Bottom to H. Lavity Stoutt Community College, where the program will take place.
We really wanted to expand the vision and understanding of persons in the community about Mr. Stoutt and about his legacy. It has been 25 years since he passed, and we want to celebrate the rich legacy that Mr. Stoutt has left for us. We know that this is the 30th anniversary of the H. Lavity Stoutt Community College, for example. And in that time, it's important for us to understand how some of these things came to be. So we want to tell a story about the Virgin Islands, about its development, and the role H. Lavity Stoutt had to play in that. We also wanted to go a little further back to say, why was it so important to us as a territory when H. Lavity Stoutt became the first Chief Minister? What was our journey like before he came on the scene? You know, because this is what will help us appreciate why his entrance as a leader for the territory was hailed with such excitement and with praise, really, with thanksgiving, and acknowledging that, you know, for the first time we had somebody who was leading us in a way where we were having a say, and he understood very well the desires and the aspirations of the people of the Virgin Islands. So I think that this year we're going to go a bit deeper, and we're going to broaden and expand the story that we're telling. So we want to put it in context, if you will, And I think that it is something that we will all appreciate. The message I have is that we know that we don't at the moment do a lot of Virgin Islands history in schools, and we're hoping that that is something that can be rectified. But certainly we want to encourage young people that on occasions when we have national holiday celebrations, we want to tell you this is a time when you get the story of the Virgin Islands. It's being told to persons who lived the history, by persons who lived that history. They lived that story. And so you couldn't get it from any greater source. We also want to say that, you know, as a person, there are so many things that would not make sense to you. And when you get the background story to it, all of a sudden things make more sense. And so I think it's an opportunity really, and a rare opportunity, to come out and to learn something about how did we get to where we are today. It didn't just happen by accident.
What I think is, to me, personally for me, what I find extremely important for young people, the people from, say, well, not kindergarten, but say first, second grade up to the college, to know about Lavity. I was fortunate that I was taken from here in second grade, and I went to St. Thomas where I could go to secondary school. Before that time, there was no secondary school. It ended at 7th standard. I went to the secondary school to teach in 1959, and with all the children coming out of primary school, and I feel so passionate about it that I could go Sage Mountain and shout it, with all the kids coming out passing primary 5. At that time, the principal of the secondary school one year, he would say he's taking in 5 and it's 5 boys. Another year he said he's taking in 7, it's 4 boys and 3 girls. And the secondary school was kept to 150. I taught a Form 1 class, it had 25 seats, there were 10 children. A Form 2 class with 25 seats, there were 15 children. And though the rest of the kids who didn't get in, there was nothing for them when they got to 7th grade, that was it. Norwell Harrigan in 1961 came up with the brilliant idea of a post-primary school, that those who didn't get in to the Holy of Holies, they would still get some semblance of a secondary education. He personally selected the teachers. I was fortunate to be one. I was told I would teach needlework, music appreciation, and Spanish. And the children, the post-primary school children, were able, the only thing we weren't teaching were the sciences. We had no labs. We didn't teach homework. We had no kitchen. But they learned sewing, they learned everything else. And in 1967, when Hamilton Lavity Stoutt became chief minister, he made, I believe he went on his knees in Zion Hill Church and made a vow that children who ever passed primary 5 would get into a secondary school. And he built a comprehensive school. I wasn't here, I was in St. Thomas, and I was told he built it against all kind of opposition. And all the kids who passed primary 5 were able to get in to the comprehensive school. I remember teaching Brian Penn and Lorna Smith in the post-primary school, and no matter how they would pass the exam, those kids couldn't get into the secondary school. That one day I said to Brian Penn, you have a sister in St. Thomas, why you don't let your mother send you down there? You will have to go to Catholic school, for you would not be a St. Thomian. He said, Miss, I was born St. Thomas. I said, what are you doing here? I stopped to his mother that afternoon and told her, get your child out of here, he would never make it. Happened so, Lorna was able to get into the comprehensive school. That wasn't enough for Lavity. In 1983-86 election, Lavity them decided it must have a college, and the sign a college is a must was on every car bumper in this place. And in 1989, he started the idea of his college, and again I was fortunate to be selected, and today you can get a parking space out Lavity Stoutt Community College at 5:30 in the afternoon. The young people here should turn out for the Lavity Stoutt birthday and give him God praise for putting secondary education available to them, and to the tertiary. They don't have to. Long ago, it was 5 that we could afford to send down the island. Sometime only 3 we could afford to send. Today, whoever need to go to college, thanks to Lavity, can go. And if for nothing else, we celebrate his birthday and make a holiday for him, it is for education.
Well, we definitely want persons to come out. Come out so that you can appreciate and be a part and share with us and celebrate with us. 30 years of tertiary education. Let us celebrate the journey that the territory as a whole has had and journeyed to this day, you know. I think that when good things happen, we need to celebrate it. We need to honor it. We need to stop and take a little time to just say, my, look at where we were and look at where we are today, you know. So I think that that's important. I think that there are a lot of younger people who may not be aware, and sometimes until you have the opportunity to hear a story relayed to you, there are gaps in your understanding. Come out and fill some of those gaps. Come out and have us share with you some of the history that helps you to say who you are as a person. Who are you as a Virgin Islander? Where do you fit into the story? So I think that it's important enough for persons to want to come out, because this is not a thing that happens regularly. We've really expanded to be able to share a lot more about the Virgin Islands story this year. For no other reason, that's one of the reasons that persons should come out. The celebration will take place at first with a wreath-laying ceremony at the Capoons Bay Cemetery gravesite, where the tomb of Honorable H. Lavity Stoutt remains, a historic site in the BVI, and we will go there. The Premier will lay a wreath on behalf of the 1st District. H. Lavity Stoutt was the representative for the 1st District for many years, and now the Premier, Honorable Andrew A. Foy, is also the Premier of the Virgin Islands, and Mr. Stoutt was previously the Chief Minister of the Virgin Islands. So there's a lot of symbolic remembrance in the wreath laying, and we will also have the leader of the opposition lay a wreath on behalf of the territory, because this celebration of the holiday is the territory celebrating and remembering and reflecting and honoring the legacy of Honorable H. Lavity Stoutt. And then we will proceed to...
Before that, his family, a member of his family, will lay a wreath in honor of the family. And before we go on, may I say that this honoring, it started with his family. The government wasn't involved, there was no holiday. The family would always, and people in his district who loved Mr. Stoutt, they would have something, normally a service at Zion Hill Church the Sunday, and then a prayer breakfast at Long Bay. And they were doing this for years until the holiday came up, and then government became involved, and it really wasn't anything much. You know, it was something, but until 2012, let's give credit where it's due. 2012, when Honorable Myron Walwyn became Minister of Education, he put a committee together, or government people and so forth, involving the culture unit and all of that, and it actually took off. And I would never forget, each year people would tell me, Miss P, ain't no way you could better this. You can better this one, because they felt so good about what was being offered. And although I am on my way out after Monday, I honestly would like Najan and the rest of the young people to keep it to the standard that was set by another generation.
Well said.
Of course.
We could say nothing more. Just to also say that at 10:30, after the replaying, we will begin a ceremony at the Lavity Stoutt auditorium, named in honor of Honorable Eileen L. Parsons, the Eileen L. Parsons Auditorium. And we really want it to be a festive time. We have involvement by a lot of younger persons this year, some classes and some persons who go to the H.L. Stoutt Community College. And we have dramatization, we have other reflections, and we're going to share, as I said, some of the deeper history of the Virgin Islands. Not too much detail, but just to help persons put the whole thing in context. Why is the territory every year celebrating this holiday as a national holiday, as a national celebration? Come and find out.
And I am excited about the program. It's going to be good, at least from what we have laid out. We meet here every Friday, and from what we have laid out, I honestly hope that how we have put it out, it comes off that. I'll be disappointed if it doesn't, and I have no reason not to believe it. So I am inviting the people, if you even don't get to the replay, come out 10:30. It wouldn't go more than maybe an hour and a half, 2 hours, and you'll have the rest of the holiday to take your family to the beach or whatever else you need to do. But do us the favor to make us feel good by your appearance, you the members of the public, especially the young people to whom this man give secondary and tertiary education.